Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening, everybody. Militiaman and Crew here once again. I hope everybody's doing fine this Wednesday afternoon. I think everything's been pretty much popping in the news cycles. It's been great. Samson's been sending us all kinds of information. Fast and furious early in the mornings. Get up and got pages of stuff. It's awesome. Just for those that are new, keep in mind when you arrive to Patreon or jump into our Discord Militiaman's chat room, Gigi, she's there to welcome you. She greets people. She's an awesome help. What does she do? Her coordination with the continuity of the room helps keep it flow. It's really kind of tough sometimes because we got, I don't know, 40 different countries we're dealing with around the world. It gets a little bit fascinating at times. But anyway, she puts together the chat discussions. She puts compilations of data that we bring in. Good conversation bits for educational for people when it really gets hot and heated and everybody's having a good time learning. She'll take those compilations and put them in a spot where you can come into that Discord and read back on that. Just like the audios that we do, like the one we did today, or my videos that I do for Patreon and on to YouTube. She puts those together and organizes that stuff. So keep in mind when you're coming in, it's all there. It's accessible. It's usually pretty much in the easy format. But Gigi is great at helping bring people in. She has some help with our IT guy. His name's Greg. He helps out. When Sunkist's not too busy, she can jump in. And of course, the Super Samson, she's up while most of us here in the United States are sleeping. She helps keep the continuity going, but she knocks it out of the park when it comes to the news. So good job, Gigi. Well done. Everybody appreciates it. Same with you, Samson. Good job. Well done. Greg, well done. Pompey Peter and Petra today. Thank you so much for taking the extra time today. I know you guys are busy doing that audio. I think people will appreciate it. Thank you all again for being with us. And I'm not going to forget Brian's place. He has the most spiritual messages just about each and every day on my end. So thank you very much. It's also very much appreciated. And by the way, you can find us at www.patreon.com/MMAND crew at CREW. Okay, so please come see us, check us out, and join us. Don't forget, there's a SITREP audio that we just did today, and that's with Pompey Peter, Petra, and Militiaman. So enjoy it. Excellent Iraqi Dinar topics today. Excellent. So awesome. So anyway, we know that al-Sudani, he's about ready to come back to the United States. And why is he going to come? Well, he wants to promote, he wants to revive confidence. Well, we already know that a big part of the transformation Iraq has been in since last year has been about confidence. The Davos meeting has been about restoring confidence. And so that's what we see in our audios and our videos. And we talk about that stuff. And why is it? Because it's what they're telling us. We offer everybody information because that's what we get out of the news. It says here the dialogues with the American side is in order to lift restrictions on Iraq's expenses that began a month ago on a regular and intensive basis. The restrictions they're talking about is these banks. The United States has sanctioned at least 3 banks, and they also have banned about 25 banks in dealing in dollars because of the parallel market. That's basically what they call the black market, parallel market. It's an illegal market, and I think a lot of people are still upset about that. But if you're going to play by the rules and play with the big boys, I think you got to go by international standards, whether those international standards are liked or not. Money laundering, theft, counterfeiting, all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't fly. So anyway, he's looking to come to the United States. and will revive confidence. I think he's probably going to find that he can do that if the banks decide to play by the rules and get on board. So we'll watch and see. But the Association of Banks will be consulted. It says the central bank is taking a firm approach to achieve banking reform. So today, the advisor of the Association of Iraqi Private Banks, Samir al-Nasiri, usually when al-Nasiri talks, just like Mohammed al-Saleh advisors, they've been around a long time, they're respectable, and they don't always have it exactly right, because there's a lot of information that comes in and comes out that is vague, but you got to be able to understand what the meat and potatoes are with respect to it. And this particular article is a good one. The management of the Central Bank of Iraq plans to gradually cancel the window of selling foreign currency during 2024 until it is completely left by the end of the year, and maintaining it for audit and statistical purposes. So we already know all this. But he's reiterating the fact that they're going to do this. Al-Alaq, the central bank governor, said the exact same thing. So they're going to have this electronic platform put to the side, if you will, so that they can audit that. So all these guys that have been possibly manipulating things in these currency auctions, they're not out of the woodwork yet, because they're going to keep it around for auditing. And I think these auditors are pretty darn good at what they do. And when it comes to clawing back assets, and if they find corruption, I think that Iraq is going to push like al-Sudani has in recent times with the crime of the century. They're going to claw back all that money and or assets. So that's good. Anyway, al-Nasiri stressed that Iraq's banks are ready and able to access and deal with correspondent foreign banks through the financial transfers that are received through opening interbank accounts between the parties. He says they have a strategy for the central bank for this year is to be gradually to cancel that electronic platform, like I mentioned, and within its procedures and negotiations with the U.S. Federal Reserve and international banks to regulate foreign trade and financing. Obviously, Iraq's going to go into the international world. They're going to be regulated just like everybody else. International banks, foreign trade, of course, everybody's going to have to be obliged by to follow the instructions. These matters are obliged Iraqi banks to open bank accounts. We all knew that. And international correspondent banks after they provided all the requirements of them by these banks. So al-Nasiri is pointing out that the number of banks that have accounts and understandings and dealings with these banks reached the limit of 25 banks. Where they say limit, it sounds like they hit their target. Good thing. So obviously they're going to be moving forward. They opened up about 40 accounts with those corresponding banks, and it's expected over the next couple of months that they will increase those numbers. So it's going to be a work in progress from here on out. Growth is growth. It says to the advisor of the Association of Private Banks, he concludes saying that the regulatory and reform steps that he's working on this year are able to control the exchange rate of the cash dollar in the parallel market and return it to its balanced price in the cash trading market. Well, okay, the parallel market's an illegal market. Here's an example that I'm not buying. I think it's filler. I think that's what they do. They cut and paste a few articles here and there because that looks like old data. I'm not concerned with it, but hey, I put it out there anyway because that's what it says. They go on to say the Prime Minister's advisor explains the importance of introducing a comprehensive banking system in their ports. Well, of course, they are going to need the Port of Fa, for instance. It's going to bring in a lot of goods. A lot of goods are going to go through that development road from China, from around the world for that matter. But the Silk Road Initiative, Development Road Initiative, all the way into Europe, the Dry Canal, all of those things. Who's all going to be there? Well, the World Bank's going to be there. Bank of International Settlement's going to be there. The WTO looks like they're ready. The automation is here to stay. Forgive me. What did they tell us the other day? They said that the automation of the electronic platforms that are for the IQD system, they're irreversible. It's just not going away. So we had some blowback from people that were, complaining about the fact that they want this to end. They don't want that system to be in place because they're going to lose out on their graft. But the Prime Minister from The advisor to the Prime Minister for Financial Affairs, Mohammed Saleh, like I mentioned, explains that the importance of introducing the comprehensive banking system in at the ports, while noting that this system is a positive integration with the automation policy. Well, the WTO is part of integration, and the automation policy is somewhat similar to what the global IQD system is for taxation at the ports, etc. And so there you have right there as an indicator that they're gearing towards an irreversible situation. They're going to go electronic and digital. He goes on to say that Rafidane Bank is one of the largest Iraqi government banks, commercial banks for that matter, in terms of weight and assets and operations. It dominates nearly half of the assets of Iraqi's banking market. He goes on to quote that the entry of the comprehensive banking system with the branches of the Rafidane Bank in the country's ports, that means this, air, sea, land, is a positive integration with the current port and customs automation policy. So they're in line, they're in sync, and he's giving kudos to that. The comprehensive banking system provides an important auxiliary tool for the banking system to enhance government cash flows immediately. So they're going to tap into that keg. How? By collecting government levies, especially from various services of customs duties in the country's borders and regions. Okay. He goes, activating the comprehensive banking system of Rafidane Bank and border branches, as it is a system of digital networking and banking operations between the center and the branches, and at the same time is an important enhancement to the implementation of the strategy of proceeding with this unified treasury account. We've been talking about that for over a year. That was one of the key things that they needed, and that unified treasury account is going to be an account so that they can accurately monitor the income, the deposits, all of that. It's basically going to provide high governance in knowledge and transparency of the flow of government revenues, and strengthens at the same time the government's cash flow budget movement, and do it regularly. It's irreversible. Okay. I like the fact that the system is said to be irreversible. Revenue streams are going to come into the country through the ports that will bring immediate cash flows. That's really big because that's going to help support the value of the currency. The integration with one of the largest banks in the country will bode well for the automation policy of the government. Of course it will. The proceeding with the unified treasury account will allow for payments and settlements in an accurate and timely manner. Let's keep an eye out for those resettlement issues, the finance minister. If you guys do a little bit of research on your own and you want to look up what resettlement is, the World Bank has been working with Iraq for about 4 years now in respect to resettlement. It has to do with land, putting people back at home, and they've been working on that for a long time. But they've been focusing in on this work that the budget and the salaries need some information, and they are going to complete, from my understanding, is that resettlement process. To me, it looks like a census that isn't being called one, but by having all these national cards, by having electronic payment systems, by having all that, they're able to tell who's who in the country. And that resettlement process is probably going to have been seasoned for those 4 years with the World Bank, and is going to come to completion because Taif Sami, who is the finance minister, has mentioned that she wants to finish with resettlement to relinquish, and that's my word, payments for their salaries. Okay. Look, they're unifying the country when it comes to the salaries. So in other words, Baghdad's going to take care of the Kurdistan salaries. They're not going to do that on their own anymore. They're just not. I probably aren't trusted to do so, and therefore they need to unify it. That's what the unified treasury account's all about. So anyway, the parliamentary committee here is talking about passing the oil law will solve all problems of the region. Well, we believe that they probably have already passed the law effectively to a degree, but they've made some amendments to it. Here it says they've made about 11 amendments to it, but they haven't quite gotten to a vote yet. Well, why is that? What we believe is once they get to where they have an exchange rate, which is to value their assets. 1310 is the number against a barrel of oil globally, right? Well, once they change the value of their currency, that's going to change to the value of the currency to a barrel of oil. So they're going to need the rate for that, and hence you haven't seen them pumping any oil through the Cyan port through Turkey. They just haven't done it yet. Why? They need to value their assets. Customs valuations. WTO is about customs valuations. World Bank, same thing. Everybody's involved in this. They have been for quite some time. So dig deep and check it out. The oil and gas law is the only solution to the problems of the center in the region. I'm assuming the citizens believe that. I hope they do. He says it will establish a roadmap for relationships between the two parties. It's confirmed so far that the law has not come from the government to the parliament, despite those 11 amendments that have been made to it. It says that the Oil and Gas Committee, Nazem Al-Shibi, said in an interview with the newspaper, the problems are accumulating between the center and the region, and if the oil and gas law is approved, all disputes will be resolved, as it is one of the most important laws that define the rights of each of the citizens, noting that it needs to be resolved. So anyway, again, they made it aware of it, that there was 11 amendments to the law. They just haven't reached the parliament yet. So let's see if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if once Taif Sammy has it under her belt that she's able to pay salaries, they're going to have an exchange rate to do so, because they haven't released salaries out of the budget per court decisions. We haven't seen that yet, but they are mentioning that it's been 13 days as of today, and here she is again today talking about this on Wednesday. Taif Sammy to the MPs, the necessity of providing parliamentary support to implement the government program. She says that she was with a delegation of members at Iraq's parliament today to discuss a group of important files and issues that concern various segments of society. There was a large delegation of about 10 or 15 people that were there. I'll let you guys read the article, but it's Taif Sammy's to MPs, the necessity of providing parliamentary support to implement the government program. You can get all the names of all the different people. It says the members of the council extended congratulations and blessings to the Ministry of Finance, of course, and it's during the holy month of Ramadan. And she in turn expressed her welcome to the visit of the people's representatives, of course, and their keenness to maintain communication between the executive and legislative authorities. Sammy, the finance minister, she says and stresses the importance of cooperation towards implementing legislation and laws that serve citizens' lives, improving living conditions, and achieve the public interests. And she's noting that the necessity of providing parliamentary support to implement the government program that expresses the will of the executive authority and the aspirations and interests of the citizens are basically a top priority. Interestingly enough, relatively tight-lipped about the meetings and what it transpired in there, but they give you kind of a basic outline. I think that some of the stuff that they have to be talked about are effectively very sensitive issues. And this article is with Taif Sammy once again, and it is called "The Finance announces the completion of data related to the 2024 budget schedules and sending them to the Council of Ministers." That should raise your eyes up now, because this is coming from Taif Sammy, the finance minister. It's not just an opinion piece. It's a big deal. So she announced today, which is Wednesday, that the data related to the 2024 budget schedules has been completed and sent to the Council of Ministers. So she has completed something and she has sent it to these Council of Ministers. And what do the Council of Ministers do? They do next week. We'll meet on the, I think it's Tuesday, the 19th. That's their normal behavior. Could they do something different sooner? Sure, we'll see. The media department of the House of Representatives said in a statement received by the news, the Finance Committee, headed by Atwan al-Atwani, in the presence of its members and number of members of the parliamentary committees, hosted by the Ministry of Finance, Taif Sammy, the Director General of the Customs Authority, there you have that again, and Director General of the General Authority for Taxes, to discuss automation. of the financial system for taxes and customs duties. Okay, doesn't that reek of they need to have that automation for the WTO in the future? I would say so. At the beginning of the hosting, the chairman of the committee welcomed the guests, stressing the need to accelerate this automation of the financial system, and pointed out that the committee supports the trends towards implementing it and working to maximize non-oil revenues in coordination with executive authorities in order to diversify their revenues. The statement continues on. It says the committee discussed the financial and banking system and the emphasis on automating the system and exchanging data between customs authority and other institutions. In addition to the procedures and formulas, formulas, sounds like pricing, and used in data auditing and electronic payment, or like point of sale, in addition to discussing the tax exemption file, as the committee requested that it be provided with tables for tax exemptions. That's a lot of information in there. They got formulas, procedures, auditing, electronic point of sale talk. They've got tax exemption file talk, and they've got it all on the table. He goes on and says the members' interventions focused on the extent of implementation of the previous of the federal general budget, revenues, and final accounts for the general budget, revenues, and final accounts, as well as the necessity of implementing the provisions contained in the budget with regard to collections and taxes, with the importance of knowing customs duties achieved expected revenues, in addition to the mechanism for collecting deposits and crossing employees' data. I talked about that already. Having the deposits, the employees' accurate data. These three paragraphs are powerful. You can find those at the Finance announces the completion of the data related to the 2024 budget schedules. So check this one out. The Ministry of Finance explains completing the related data to the 2024 schedules, inserting the texts, and sending them to the Council of Ministers, while she provided an explanation of the ministry's work mechanism. In other words, how to do it. Regarding the automation of the system, the Director General of the General Authority of Customs, he goes on to say that starting work on the electronic system with a focus on the centers with the highest revenues in order to supplement the budget and maximize resources, while the Director General of the Tax Authority touched on tax revenues and percentages received from collection, in addition to problems and obstacles facing the authority. So they had a pretty tight meeting. Sounds like it's pretty aggressive and to the point. The statement concludes that the head of the committees, Atwan Atwani, confirmed that other meetings and interviews will be held in order to study the file in detail to come up with unified results. Talking again about unification. All the results, all one. Baghdad and the region. That's what they're talking about. What are they also talking about? Acceleration, automation of what? The financial system, implementation of the provisions for the federal budget, final accounts, revenues. I think you guys can see that what we're talking about here is Iraq is effectively getting ready to showcase themselves to the world in an automated way and in a big way. So the finance completing the data for the 2024 budget tables and sending them to the Council of Ministers. This is another article. It says Wednesday, Taif Sami announced the completion of data related to the 2024 budget, the inclusion of text, and sending them to the Council of Ministers. They go on to say the Parliamentary Finance Committee, quote, will not launch funding for the salaries. Taif Sami says to the Parliament Finance Committee, she will not launch funding for the salaries of Kurdistan region employees for the month of March until after resettlement. That is that one key word that they've been talking about for the last few days. And it's a very important word. And I think everybody should know about it, but they do not want to violate the decision of the federal court. So they need to speed up that resettlement issue, and it's definitely under pressure. And I think with what you just read, or I read to you and you heard, is that there's a big move on this coming because of the court. The Parliamentary Finance Committee said while hosting the Ministry of Finance and Directors of Taxes and Customs Activating and maximizing non-oil revenues is one of the priorities of the government program. He says that we will stand against anyone who opposes this. The implementation of a tax and customs automation system alongside the Ministry of Finance, and we will not allow it to be disrupted. So in other words, it's irreversible. Don't buck the system. It says we strongly support the Ministry of Finance approach to implementing automation at all border crossings. Taxes and fees are not collected except by law and are not exempted except by law. So we will review all exemptions and to the extent of the benefit sought or achieved from them. So obviously, TAFE SAMI sending them the information that they need, the texts, the tables, everything that they need was said to go out today, or if that's the proper way of looking at it. They meet next Tuesday on March 19th. So the assumption is that they've got progress before that time frame, and we might see an adjustment to an exchange rate to be able to fund all the things that they're talking about. Projects, pumping oil, need assets, you need a value of the assets, customs valuations. You need all that for the oil to pump out. You need that for the incoming imports. You got to have all of that stuff ready to go. So it looks like it's based off an exchange rate that's possibly that's what we're waiting for. This guy, the Prime Minister's office, directed a preparation of a price formula for foodstuffs. Well, it's Ramadan. They've been in it since the last Ramadan. I think it was at 13.10. It's still at 13.10. So why a big push to price formula for foodstuffs? Isn't it similar to last year, or is something changed and something going to be different? And could that have already taken place, or is in the process of taking place? It says food prices in the local market are stable due to the pumping of large quantities of food through Ramadan basket, which includes 11 items. They don't say which ones, but it says they started processing planning. All governments' advanced rates of processing have been achieved, and within the next few days, the plan to supply food supplies to citizens will be completed. The food supplies prepared within the basket are witnessing great stability, and the marketing centers spread throughout the governments have recorded huge attendance in shopping demand. So people are happy, it sounds like. If there's huge demand, they're going into the marketplace. Prime Minister's office was directed to prepare a price formula for foodstuffs, which has reached an advanced stage in announcing it, explaining that the coordination is currently being carried out with the Ministries of Planning, Agriculture, Industry, Security agencies, and as well as high-level coordination with the Central Bank of Iraq. That's a pretty heavy amount of people and things happening, all for pricing formulas. All of those entities, Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Industry, Security agencies, as well as high coordination with the Central Bank of Iraq, all for just adjusting some pricing at 13.10, doesn't sound right to me. There's a technical committee in the Central Committee to set prices based on many details related to internal and external, or they use overseas transportation operations, in addition to the services it provides to state agencies. This composition will be finalized and announced during the current month. So basically, they're going to focus in on this. It says, with the aim of establishing the security services are taking measures to monitor the local market and arrest any of the violators. So they're basically doing things that are serious to these price formulas. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here with me, Militiaman and crew. I hope everybody enjoyed the content that we had tonight. If you're new, please like our channel, subscribe if you will, and if you'd like to help keep the content moving, we have PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. So we'll see you soon. Enjoy. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.